A lovely sunny day. Saturday was rough, very rough. Went through some flood water. Considering I've got a 4x4, it got very, very deep. Then I had to kind of move over to the oncoming lane where it's a little bit more shallow. But even then, it was spluttering a little bit. Yeah, it was bad. Weather like that is going to become more frequent for a myriad of reasons. One of them being, and I'm going to get onto some more juicy stuff. It's going to be quite a varied walk and talk this. I've got a few points in my head. One is because of a weakening, an ever weakening magnetosphere, which is causing the power of the sun to have, and again, there's going to be more people out there, I know, the flat earthers and we don't really live in that kind of, all that. Let's just get down to what most of us believe. I'm just giving you my opinion, and feel free to drop your opinions down in the comments section. And so the power of the sun is affecting the weather on the earth. The sun and the moon have been doing that since for billions of years. That, on top of the fact that again, too many silly little boys with very powerful toys manipulating the weather, and this is common knowledge now. It was a load of bollocks years ago when we were talking about it years ago with our tinfoil hats on, and now it's relatively mainstream. Relatively, there's little bits here and there because they can't really hide it anymore. And again, that sort of information, that knowledge, those observations of people looking up at the sky and thinking it's a bit different, and then people explaining what it is to other people, and then them doing their own due diligence and research, and then passing that information on, and it goes like a wildfire, just like our communist government. Just a couple of things before I move on. I know that there are I met up for a drink with Annie yesterday. Lovely lady. Hi Annie. Had a drink, did a little bit of shopping together as well. And I gave her a few of those pretend 20, those leaflet things as well, and left a few in the pub. But I know that there are a few other people that live relatively close to Long Eaton, but I can't remember who you are, and I do apologise for that. So if you can drop that down in the comments section, or email me, because that email should be up and running, because Annie's been able to email me, no problem. And I'll meet up for a coffee with you too, or we could try and arrange a time that suits all of us and meet up as a group. I think that'd be really interesting. So that's one. Another one is I now know that a fair few of you guys have got active YouTube channels. So even though I know who most of you are, if you can just drop in the channel, in the comments, I have a channel, then people can then just click on your little icon, go to your channel, and I would love for everyone to just go over and just show a little bit of love, because this is a community. It always has been. So I missed out on a Resistance GB podcast interview with Mr. Moore, which was from the 27th. So that's today. And I have put it in the comments section, I think the last video, or it might have been the video before that, but I'll put a link to it in the description box if YouTube will allow me. I've not done that for a while, so that you can have a little bit of a watch of that yourself, because it's good. It's good. There's lots and lots of stuff in there that I already knew, and quite a bit that I didn't. And I love this passion. I love this passion. I felt it, and I think a lot of you guys will too. So every time I've said to you, we will prevail, I meant it. I meant it every time. I still mean it. I've got 100% faith. But as I've said, every single time, it is going to get shit. It's going to get rough, very, very rough. And that's why we're prepping. So we've got that buffer, so we don't panic. And yeah, sovereignty. So I've been trying to discuss sovereignty with lots of people over the last 3, 4, 5 years, maybe a little bit more now than I did then, because now I know more. But the difference is, and one of the problems that we've got, is that there are so many people out there, and this is from personal experience and interactions that I've had, where people have said, well, I don't really know much about the lingo. I don't really know much about the law. I don't know a great deal about common law. Some people have even said they don't know much about natural law. That was a head fuck, you know? Yeah. So I'd like to just put things into perspective here, because I'm about to embark on something that's going to be a challenge. I don't want to say anything about it now, but if I prevail, I'll do a video about it. Sovereignty doesn't really have so much to do with common law. It's kind of been taken, the essence of it, and then put into writing. That's common law and the law of the land. Sovereignty, it's not really that much to do with knowing the lingo. It's not that much to do with knowing a great deal about common law. It's inalienable. Inalienable. It can't be taken away from you. It can't be. It's impossible. Like your thoughts, your feelings, they belong to you. They are inalienable. They belong to you. They can't be taken away. It's impossible. So, and as I've mentioned in a video previous, as long as you have a clear distinction between right and wrong, then your inalienable rights should never and can never be taken away from you. However, there are always caveats to everything, well, most things. Now, if you don't have that innate sense of right and wrong, and you turn out to be some sort of sadistic, twisted, psychopathic serial killer, serial rapist, or serial child abuser, or something like that, then several of those inalienable rights, including your freedom of movement, should be, can be, and will be taken away from you, because you'll be a direct threat to society. And people like that, again, I did mention in a previous video, and I did get some very passionate responses for it, and I understand why I did, and maybe I should have gone into a little bit more detail, but I do tend to just kind of fleet between one subject and another, and then sometimes forget where I started. People like that should be removed from the universe, you know. So a permanent just that's it. That threat has been completely and permanently removed through capital punishment. So yeah, I got why people would say we shouldn't bring that back, and I get that. But on the flip side, it's a decent deterrent. And then there would be people that say, because I've heard of examples where people, women, you know, I'm just picking one out. There's lots of different examples. People like women who have been abused for decades by their other half, and then they've snapped, and they've done him in, you know. So people would argue that would be justified. Some people. Now, I believe that in this world, you're either strong or you're weak. And again, this is probably going to ruffle a few feathers, me just saying that, because I don't believe that there's a middle ground. You're either strong or you're weak. And if a woman puts up with decades of abuse to the point where it leads to such a horrific act, that's weak. It's weak. So yeah, my opinions are my opinions, and I'm happy to listen to yours, no problem. So sovereignty is inalienable. You are sovereign. It's got nothing to do, not really. I think learning a little bit about common law and the law of the land and the Magna Charta, which is a small part of it, is useful, because it can, you know, to those of you who love to read, it gives you a, you know, it's something for you to read and digest, and we all learn in different ways. I'm more of a listener and an observer. I don't really read much, you know. I just look, I watch and listen and pay attention. Whereas lots and lots of people learn from books. I'm not one of them. So yeah, sovereignty is it's a state of mind. And once you've realised that, because what will happen is, to those who don't quite get the whole sovereignty thing, once you've tested yourself, especially against the system, and learned a little bit more, read a little bit more, and then you start to get what sovereignty is all about, the penny will drop. And it's a big penny. The penny will drop, and you'll realise that you were sovereign all along. It can't be taken away from you. So yeah, that podcast, one of the things that I did know was that we had the right to bear arms. Now, all of the 5 Eyes, and I know that the vast majority of you know what the 5 Eyes are, but just for those who don't, it's a combination, if you like, of 5 nations that share intelligence, information, technology, the list goes on. Those 5 nations are America, Canada, the UK, Australia and New Zealand. All 5 of those nations had the right to bear arms, and there's only one left that still bears arms, but all 5 still have the right to bear arms. It's just you just don't realise it, you just don't know it, because the current legal system, the current political system, the current tyrannical I was going to say leadership then, that would have been very inappropriate, would stipulate that you can't, and that it's an arrestable offence and you can go to jail. And the last one to fall was New Zealand. I think it was the Christchurch massacre. Now, I believe, again, this is just my opinion, that along with a lot of other school shootings in America was down to MK Ultra, because that is very real. It's very real, and there have been people that, and if you do a little bit of digging, you'll know that have been found with suicide, taking their own lives. They've been found with some serious weaponry, but they've written a note, using various different words depending on the people, saying that they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. So that's where MK Ultra hasn't quite worked. So what they do is they'll create a horrific situation, like a school shooting, to get the sleepy public who can't see past their fucking noses to back their government in banning guns. And that's what they're trying to do in America now. Good luck with that, especially with the Texans. The Texans have got a very, very, very intimate connection with England. So the right to bear arms is in many ways also an inalienable right of yours, provided that you have a clear distinction between right and wrong. So they brought laws in over time. Some of this is explained in the podcast that I'll be leaving in the description box. It's long, so put some time aside. The way of dealing with someone that's pissed you off way back then was pistols at 20 paces, back to back, walk away, 20 paces, spin around, and yeah, one of you's going, or both of you's going. So they had to bring in laws, because there were a lot of people shooting each other because they were just pissed off over something. And then they added poaching laws into that as well, because the lords and the super rich, super wealthy at the time were sick and tired of people taking their ducks and their geese and their deer from their land. My feelings on that. and taking salmon from their river. You know, my feelings on that too. It's not their fucking river, it's not their land. We do need to try and find balance on this planet. We do. And but we've got other pressing issues to deal with first, and then work on that. So there were laws brought in, and I, you know, I sort of understand it a little bit. The poaching bit, nah, that's not a good enough reason to take people's arms away. So, one of the risks that you could, because you can get hold of anything, you know, if you really, really wanted to, if you put your mind to it, you wouldn't believe what you can get your hands on. But say, for example, you ended up getting a pistol, a Glock, and you carried that around. You've got an inalienable right to do that. But if that unregistered weapon was used in a murder, and they can figure out, because each bullet has a fingerprint, if you like, it's unique to that gun, and if that's been involved in a murder, then you've got some explaining to do. But yeah, anyway, it was just a little bit of a walk and a waffle and a bit of a chat. And I encourage you to watch this podcast, because it's to a lot of you will know a fair bit already, but it'll fill in a few gaps, and then there will be some of you out there that might not know any of it, you know, and it will open your eyes. And the passion that this guy's got, I love it, because most of us have got that same passion. Because we need to stand up. We're going to stand up because of the future of the next generation and generations after that. And you know, going back to the weak, strong, no middle ground. To those of you who feel seriously overwhelmed and feel right now that you might be one of those weak ones, have a sit down at some point and look at your other half, and then look at your kids. Don't just look at them. See them. See them. And then ask yourself, are they worth it? If the answer is no, you've got a problem. Much love. Ciao for now.